Like I said, it happens, and hopefully some kids can learn from it, but just don't get caught.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
Well, first of all, I should be wearing a hat because I knew all the answers.
Did you really know all the answers?
No.
Okay. It's like, wow. You know what did you know what a Sooner was?
Yes.
You
Yes.
did.
That one I read the Anderson book.
Oh,
So,
Boomtown. Yeah.
Yeah, Boomtown.
Yeah.
I knew the capital, I knew the flag, I knew I didn't know the bird. But when you said park, I could have arrived to that answer. Brahms, yeah, probably. I always hear you talking about Brahms. So.
Oh man. Some quick announcements. If you guys have any interest in seeing this same video that we're talking about, where I ask the Thunder players how Oklahoma they are, I have one with Shea that I'm holding hostage. I also have one with Jay Will that I'm holding hostage as well. Both are very good. I'm holding them both hostage until we get at least 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we're almost there. I think we're 100 and change away, which is up. I think we needed like 400 on Friday. So we've gotten quite a few over the weekend, but not quite good enough. So it's ready. It's sitting on my desktop right now. I'm looking right at it. And if you guys want to see it, go subscribe to YouTube, our YouTube channel. Hit the like button, share our page, maybe tweet it out, maybe put it on your Facebook. Who knows? Who knows who could subscribe? Grab your mom's phone, subscribe from her phone when she doesn't even know it. Whatever you got to do to get us to 5,000, then I will release the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, How Oklahoma Are You video. So look for that. Also coming up on October 25th, which is in like 16 days. My goodness. We're doing a watch party for the very first Thunder game at Bar K. It's downtown in OKC. You can, if you want to bring your dog, you can bring your dog. If you don't want to bring your dog, you certainly don't have to. But you can also just know that like the area that we're hanging out in doesn't have dogs in it at all. So this is like the restaurant and bar area that has a bunch of TVs and places to sit. And then if you want to, one, have a guaranteed place to sit, and two, want to hang out with us during the game and watch the game with us and get a cool t-shirt, you can go to our page to buy that. Go to our Twitter account. The link is in the bio for that. So please go check that out. And then another announcement, Down to Dunk Night is on November 14th against the San Antonio Spurs. It is an in-season tournament game, and it's going to be so much fun. So be sure to get your tickets for that. That's on our Twitter account and also my personal Twitter account. I'll push that up to the top again today. Seats are limited. I think we've sold a ton of seats, and there's not a whole lot left. What you get if you do that, one, you'll get to meet up with us before the game. We are going to have a meal together at Spark, and then we're going to walk over to the game, and then we're going to watch the game together, which will be joyful. And then we will get to meet up on the court after the game to take a picture, big group Down to Dunk picture, and then shoot a half-court shot for free tickets to a future Thunder game. So lots of housekeeping, but the main thing, Michele, is that the Thunder play a game tonight here in Oklahoma City. I will be there. It's the San Antonio Spurs. It's Victor Wembanyama versus Chet Holmgren. I believe both are going to play. Maybe we'll see. But it's very interesting. And heading into this, I have 5 questions, 5 preseason questions about the Thunder. We're going to start with the first one. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is not going to play tonight. My question to you, I know it's kind of a bummer, but my question to you is: who appears to be the primary creator? You know, I think if we asked Mark Daigneault this question, who's the primary creator? I think he would say like we don't have one. You know, we have lots of them. But in your opinion, who appears to be the primary creator on this team with Shea out? Is it Giddey or is it Jalen Williams?
I think that the answer here is pretty simple. In my eyes, Giddey will have a ton of possessions, at least to start the season. I think that J-Dub will have many points, but I'm not sure if he will be as much on ball as a primary creator. I can really see the Thunder maneuvering in such a way that J-Dub takes the ball after a few actions, like say Giddey starts with a pick and roll, then reverse the field, and then J-Dub attacks and finishes. Suppose that is the action that repeats itself for 10 times. Who's creating more? I mean, Giddey is surely initiating the possession, but J-Dub is creating as much by attacking the second line of defense. So I think that will be the case with Shea out.
Yeah, I am very intrigued. I think it will probably be Giddey, but I think that there's a chance that J-Dub, I mean, the way that J-Dub looked in that summer league game, that first summer league game, was just like, whoa. Like, this looks like an NBA star. And I'm curious if he shows that again tonight against the likes of Devin Vassell and guys like that. So I'm very intrigued to see what that looks like. I think I want to see like Chet, how involved he is in these actions. And that to me is going to be very intriguing. Obviously, like anything with Chet is going to be really fascinating to watch. But who's like the initiator? And I think it's not going to be one person the whole time, but I can imagine that Giddey's going to be doing it an awful lot. I know my video is fuzzy. I don't know what's going on with my internet right now. It's a conundrum to me because, but I'm going to try to work on it while Michele gives his thoughts on the way that maybe Chet looks next to those guys.
I think that Chet is the most fascinating player that we are going to watch tonight. I think that he's the number of pick and rolls and actions that he runs with Giddey is one of the things that is most interesting to me because I see that J-Dub is kind of the guy who works well anyway and anywhere. But I really want to see how much J-Dub and Giddey played Chet and Giddey played a two-man game. But back to your initial question, I thought, well, of course it's Giddey. But then I went back to those games in the winter / early spring when J-Dub was the guy when Shea was out. And in those games, he used to handle a lot. So I don't know. I mean, I still think that the primary possessions, like the real initiator of a possession, like the guy who handles the ball from the rebound to the opponent half court, is going to be Giddey. And he will try to have Chet involved immediately in many actions. But I also think that the J-Dub, in terms of usage, will have close to the same figure that Giddey has. Back to Chet, something that I want to see tonight. Not I want to see, that I will monitor tonight. One, I want to monitor the number of possessions where he tries to create for himself and others, like we saw in certain possessions here and there. The second one, I don't know how many things I said I should monitor, but I'll give the list. The second one is how many lobs and in general pick and roll possessions that he run directly. So you have a screen, Giddey penetrates, and it's Chet finishing, and also the pick and pops. I really want to see how Chet will handle these three things, in which he looked good at times in summer league. Creating, he looked much better at finishing, just simple plays. So I wonder what his distribution will be tonight.
Yeah, I wonder, because the thing that Chet told me on media day, the thing that he's better at today than he was his last game at Gonzaga was creating with the ball in his hands, which I thought was like a really interesting answer. And I know that
very scary.
Why is that scary to you?
Because it means that he will try a lot. And he was awesome last year summer league, this year Summer League a little bit less. I don't know if this is just, hey, I'm getting back to form,
Yeah.
or it's just, hey, like the first time here, nobody knew that I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious, especially against Wembanyama, because I do think that there is a chip on his shoulder to a degree
Mhm.
about all Wembanyama talk, and the fact that he's this like generational prospect, and he is like he's all of that. But I think Chet takes some of that a little personally, and he's uber
Mhm.
competitive, and they're similar kinds of player. Like they're similar in a lot of ways, and so I'm just curious what that looks like on the court tonight. And it's probably going to be in small spurts, if at all. I assume that both are going to play,
Mhm.
but we're not. This isn't going to be like it is on November 14th when they're playing on national television for this in-season tournament. This is preseason, where the more pressing issue is not who's better, Wembanyama or Chet. Like the more pressing issues for both teams is like who's going to make the roster and how
Yeah.
are we shaping the team up, and maybe look at a few different rotations and how does that look. So yeah, but I am curious to see. That's one of my other questions is how much of Chet the creator do we see tonight? And I'm extremely curious to see what that looks like, just because he voiced that that's something that he's better at. And if you feel like you're better at something, then oftentimes you're trying to showcase it. And so I assume we're going to see some of that. And I wish we got to see him with Shea, because we haven't seen Chet and Shea, that combination, at all. We've seen Chet play with these other two guys, but we've never seen Chet play with Shea. And I think that will unlock a lot for both players. So I'm very, very curious. I'm going to go. We might even hit pause real quick as I do this, but you can talk, and I'm going to go see what I can do about this problem I'm having with my internet. For those of you that are tuned in on the YouTubes, BRB.
So, regarding Chat's ability to create, I mean, I said scary, not because I'm actually scared about Chat trying out stuff, especially in preseason. I really want to see that. I'm scared because I want that to come naturally during the season, which I think it will to some degree. But the competitive spirit that Andrew mentioned before going, I don't know where, is I think something that will push him to do a lot of stuff with the ball in his hands. And again, I'm not sure about the results, so I'm a bit worried. But also, I need to review in my mind the expectations for this season. If Chad tries this season is terrible at creating, who cares in the grand scheme of things? The point for this season is for him to explore and to be the best version of himself in 2-3 years, not tomorrow. And as fans and as observers and as whoever is following the Thunder, we should be really mindful about, yeah, this season feels important, but it's more important that Chet finds the best version of himself and is able to express the best version of himself. So again, worried maybe is the wrong word here. I'm curious and a little bit more. I'm a little bit how can I say anxious to see the results because they were so incredibly good against Utah 15 months ago, and it was a mixed bag in summer league. So I don't know what to expect. It was one game, but I still remember myself giggling on the sofa and saying, "Wow, this is it." Speaking of weird things, I've watched this morning the Pacers, and for some reason, Jarris Walker played just in the second half. That was quite weird. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I would be very, very surprised if Case and Wallace played just in the second half. Like no burn with the first unit, no burn with Dort, with Giddy, with Jade up. I would be actually surprised. So I don't know. That thing actually caught my eyes. this morning while I was watching Steven Adams, because every time I can, I do. Let's see. Let's handle a couple of your questions since Andrew is not here, and he can't say no to that. And we'll start with Lawrence Field. Does Ooze have a defined role, or does he have to find reps with the blue? I think that both can be true. I see Ooze as a versatile forward that can sometimes play in very big lineups where he's a kind of a wing more so than a forward. And I think that he might get reps with the blue. But it's not about the role, it's about having reps, having time on the court, more so than having a defined role. Second question from Lawrence Field: has Dort learned to not go all Dort at the rim? I would guess no. My guess, though, is that he will have more room to get to the rim because he will be guarded by a even lesser opponent, and space will be there for him much better than it was this year, mainly because of Chet Holmgren. Lawrence has many questions. Does Giddy actually get calls when he drives? I bet that he gets more than last season. How many? I don't know. Three free throws per game, 3.2, something like that. I would actually. I'm not a betting guy, so I would actually not bet on that at all. Let's go to Chase Minden. Will we get an updated intro from this year's Media Day? I hope so. Let's see other questions. These are for Andrew. Andrew video is frozen right. Yes. I hope stock 69. Let's see other question. From Lawrence Field again. Who do you have playing more games, Chet or Wemby? I guess that I don't know. It will be probably. I would bet below 70 for both, with Chet being marginally higher in my ranking. I don't think that either will play a lot. Well, 68, 69 is. I would be completely satisfied if Chet plays these many games. Again, Lawrence Field. Now Andrew is completely gone. Mickey, I'm about to Italian fried eggplant that after frying I will paint with script. Okay, I don't know. Fondue pomodoro. I mean, pomodoro with eggplant is fine. You can't go bad with that. Other stuff. Michele, will you be at Down to Dunk night? No.
Oh man, I wish you were.
Hey, look at you. Now I can see you perfectly.
Okay. I think I did it. At least I'm hoping I did it. Thanks for holding down the fort. What'd you get into? You can talk Wimby chat a little bit.
Yeah, not much. I just answered a few questions here in the chat about stuff.
Yeah.
I was getting into Wemby chat games played this season, and I bet that both will play less than 70, but I bet Chet a little bit. But for tonight, no. I expect Chet to be a little bit feisty.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see just the look in his eye getting out on the court tonight. And I know it's preseason, but I think like he's been itching for this for a long time. And it's on NBA TV. Like there's going to be a lot of people there. You know, there's a lot of eyes on this game. Like Brian Windhorst from ESPN is in Oklahoma City tonight. So there's just a lot of like really fun things about it.
I have to do this.
That's a good call. I'm very excited. That to me is like the number one thing. Like Chet versus Wemby. I know it's like the low hanging fruit, but it's also like holy smokes, like this is a true NBA story.
Yeah,
and it's going to be really interesting to see in person what that looks like. Also, a question that I have for the preseason and for this game is how many people are at this game tonight? Because last season, like a kind of a low-key storyline was that there just weren't that many people that showed up to Paycom night in, night out. And it was a little bit better toward the end of the season just because they were better in general. But It's not like the loud city that people know and that people talked about in the beginning. Like it died down significantly. Are people back? I think is a really interesting question that I want to know. Are
What's
people
the total attendance?
18,000? Like 18,000
what do you
change.
expect for tonight?
It's Wimby Chet. If we
I know.
can't get here for Wimby Chet, then I don't know.
You
I don't
expect
know.
like full arena tonight?
I mean, maybe not because it's preseason,
Hmm.
but it better look full. It better feel full.
Okay.
Because if you can't get excited for Wimby Chet Holmgren, then I don't know what's going to get you excited. Like this, I don't know.
Chet and Wemby in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think people will be more excited for it then in November, but come on. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. With SGA out, who is the fifth starter?
I bet it is Ooze.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I would actually. I mean, I'm not sure if I would bet it's Ooze is the right wording. I really hope it's Ooze
Mm-hmm.
because it makes sense. I mean, to have a guy that is a versatile wing that can play 3-4, 2-3-4,
Yeah.
and it's just there. He needs minutes. I would like to see how he works with Chet, with Dort, with J-Dub and Giddy. I think that will be my choice if I had to pick one.
Kind of the funny thing is that there's a ton of options for this. I mean, tell me if any of these would stop me if it would surprise you. Micic isn't playing tonight either.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing because I mean that's another fun debut, but we'll save it for another time.
Yeah.
Cason Wallace.
A bit, yeah. It would surprise me a bit.
Isaiah
I was
Joe.
just mentioning when you were out that
Mm-hmm.
I watched this morning Pacers Memphis, the majority of it, and Jarvis Walker didn't play until like the second half.
Yeah.
Which was completely, I don't know.
It's kind of weird. I mean, it's Rick Carlisle, so
yeah, it's so weird. And so with Kazan, it will be very weird for me if he doesn't play until the second half.
Yeah.
But I would not bet. I can see him being the first/second sub off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Yeah, I think that's possible. Isaiah Joe.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
I also would not be surprised. Aaron Wiggins.
Yeah, a bit surprised.
Kenrich Williams.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's almost my pick.
Yeah, but why? I mean, I bet Kenny plays like 2.5 minutes tonight.
Kenny hadn't been on the court for a while. Just as a nod.
Yeah, maybe so.
As a nod to him, like, hey, you know what? Also, they're going to need, and this is where maybe Jay Will gets to start because they're going to start Zach Collins.
Yeah. Ew. Come on. No. Chet has to play the 5 strictly. But yeah, Jay Will is an option. They will have to play together at some point. So
yeah. But Kenrich would be a fun one. Like I think a Kenrich Chet pairing is a very interesting one that we don't talk about much because Kenrich is not in like the category of new, exciting, fun, crazy upside player. But the idea of a closing lineup that has Kenrich instead of Dort and Kenrich is at the 4 is really.
What are you saying? Like, wow.
Offensively, if Kenrich continues to shoot it pretty well from 3, it's an interesting option.
Oh, I'm all in for that, I mean, I've said it multiple times.
If you just need physicality up front specifically, like if you're playing a team that has like some size,
yeah,
you can counter. And not that Kenrich is big, like he's only 6'6", but you can counter that a little bit with the physicality that's there. So I'm interested in that idea because we haven't talked a whole lot about that. I mean, you could even keep Dort in and sit somebody else too, and like have this like uber defensive lineup.
Yeah. I love the first version of it. Don't ruin it. By the way, what are the chances that Oos play and start some Wemby defensively? So Chet can be the help guy and block.
Well, they don't want to pull him away from the rim, which is why like the Chet Wemby matchup is kind of fascinating in itself. Because I think if you're using Chet as like your defensive anchor, you want to keep him at the rim.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking about that.
And Wemby is a perimeter player, you know, for a 7'5" guy. Like he's a perimeter player, and it's kind of freaky. And yeah, I don't think that's out of the question. I don't think it's out of the question that Kenrich starts on him, or Oos starts on him, or Wiggins, or even Dort. You know, I don't know. Like it's going to be fascinating to see how every single team in the league defends this guy.
Yeah,
it's going to be so.
Oos is tall.
Oos is really tall, and he's taller than he was last season.
Taller. So, wow.
I think he's like.
Is it true?
I think he's like a legit 6'11".
Wow.
So it is interesting. I want to see, because he even answered that he wanted to be better with his physicality, which is like a great answer, and it's what we all wanted to hear. But now you can say it as much as you want, but what does it look like on the court? I'm very curious.
Question for you. If the only data point that you have on Jang is the Vegas Summer League, how insanely excited would you be about him?
Oh, I think it would be if he was like a rookie heading into the season, and that's what we saw. I think it would be through the roof. I think I would be talking about him as if he were a potential Paul George kind of guy.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, versatility, on-ball skills, step back threes.
God, that one game, was it against the Pacers?
Yeah, it was
just, oh my gosh. Like it felt like a Oos fever dream.
Yeah, it was not different from the Chet game against, a little bit worse than the Chet game against Utah, where it was, So my point is, Oos is extremely young. And even if I don't want to say that he's going to be that player, because that would be maddening and just stupid, I think that we should be a little bit excited about the first 10 games of Ousmane Dieng, because we will really see a lot from him. Say 20 games, 25 games.
Yeah.
I mean, J-Dub had a horrible summer league compared to what Dieng had last year. And slowly but surely became like a very reliable and strong player, because he's way older. He's, I think, 3 years older than Ousmane Dieng.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that is correct. Maybe 2 years, 2.5.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, isn't Dieng 2004? MGD 2003? Or am I shifting everything 1 year below the movie?
Yeah. Oos is 03, and then Giddey is, gosh, that is so weird. 02.
Yeah. 02. And J-Dub is 2000?
Dub is 2001.
So it's just 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, he's still very young.
God, the fact that it was May 21st, 2003. I remember that year too well. I'm so old.
Yeah. It was in Italy was the summer of heat.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, it was extremely hot. I remember like playing soccer at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, just being a disaster. But anyway, fun times.
Yeah. All right, next question. Do we even you said Oos? I think I said Kenrich or Jay Will is the way that I think it will go. Okay, who is the major standout off the bench? Not even necessarily in just this one game, but in the preseason. We will be hyping up which player off the bench.
Oh, this answer will be so vanilla and so meaningless for the rest of the season, but I think it's Tre Mann.
Oh.
I think that Tre Mann will have a great preseason.
Yeah.
Just 16 points per game, 42% from 3, 52% from 2. Just amazing, and I don't know what happens in the regular season, but he has not so many shots on making anything happening this season. He has to hit hard and hit immediately. Otherwise, he's gone. But I bet that he has a great preseason. He was great in summer league as well, like super in summer league, but also a third-year player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is definitely the forgotten piece of this team, and I think a lot of it is that people have mentally already moved on from him, and I can't say with authority that it's true or untrue that you should do that, because I do think that the Thunder are genuinely moving into the preseason with an open mind on what can be with guys like Trey, Isaiah, and they call him Zay. Trey, Zay, and Micic. I think that I think you have to go into it with a very open mind, because sometimes there is like a sophomore slump that happens that's genuine, and guys just aren't that good. And if he comes back and he's motivated, Trey Man has a lot more talent than Isaiah Joe does. And I'm very curious to see what that looks like with him, because I do think he's going to get a chance. If I were to bet, I would still think that he's closer. He's still on like the list of players that I think will be cut. And
He's in the bubble there.
Yeah, he's definitely on the bubble. And if he's awesome in the preseason, and maybe he's awesome in camp, he could be the one that sticks around. And it's, we'll talk about it here in a second, but he could stick around. He could make the case, and he could, if he just shoots the ball really well and competes on defense, he could take Isaiah Joe's spot in the rotation. That's not out of the question, because he can create with the ball in his hands a lot better. And this team still needs a 6-man type of guy. And he could still theoretically, do that. So
yeah, Micic will bring some of that.
Yeah,
being a 6-man, being a creator, the spark of the bench. But like it's to be seen if he can score at a high level in the NBA. So for Trey, but Trey has a weapon that is clearly there. The step back three is there. So yeah, I'm extremely curious to see how he plays. If he's already moved on himself, or if he's there, focused, rejuvenated in terms of like being there with his mind, and we'll see. I mean, I really hope, because again, Trey's step back and generally the ability to create off the dribble is something that any team needs off the bench.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's why they drafted him. They drafted him because he could be a microwave scorer, and because he has the most insane step back.
Yeah,
like that's why you draft a guy like Trey Man. And if he can get back to looking like he did at the end of his rookie season, like, man, I think it's possible. Do I think it's likely? No, I don't think it's likely. Is it possible? Yes. That brings us to our next question. Who's going to get cut? Because it's going to happen maybe before we podcast next for Down to Dunk, is we may know what is going on there, or there may be a trade or something. But give me your prediction.
I'm about to say something very stupid, but I don't see Poku being a sure thing for next year.
Yeah.
He's not my first name. I think that Oladipo and JRE are my first two names, and I would, unless something crazy happened in preseason, I just don't see a space for JRE. I just don't. I mean, he was quite bad. He was much worse than Trey Man last season, I think. With Trey Man, you see the skill. You see that thing. If that comes back, we looked into the stats of Trey Man last season, and if you replace the 31% with a 40%, 38%, you have a great player to have on your bench. He was just inefficient, which is not just, because this is exactly why you need a guy like Trey Man to be efficient, to be a shooter. But at least the type of shots that he should take were there for most part. With JRE, I just don't see that. I just don't see the flow with other guys. I just don't see stuff that keep him on the court defensively, which should be his calling card. He was not good. So or not impactful at least. So to me, he is the candidate number one. Oladipo, I think it's a foregone conclusion. I mean, Presti said as much that they will try to. He's not with the team, and to me it was very clear. I don't remember exactly the wording. It's not really.
Yeah, I
something.
think they're going to trade him.
Yeah,
I think they're going to trade him.
Trading or just cut him. You think that they are going to trade him?
I think there's a good chance that they trade him.
Yeah, and maybe it's something like the trade with the Rockets last season, where you had 4 players and you just cut 4 players.
Yeah,
and you gain a little bit on salary or on some picks or whatever.
My read is that there are going to be so many teams that are trying to duck the tax next summer that it would be a little. Maybe there's nothing out there. That's totally possible. But my assumption is that there might be something out there where it's money that extends into next season with a team that they're just like, we've got to avoid these tax penalties. And I wonder if there's something out there where they just take a second round pick, trade Oladipo, and get back a player that has a deal that extends after this year, where it doesn't really impact the Thunder that much, but they can continue to stack assets.
Yeah.
So I would be a little surprised if this all ended in them just cutting guys. But that's certainly on the table. But I just know Sam to be somebody that tries to squeeze the juice out of every asset possible. And so that's only just because of what he's done in the past that I'm saying this. I'm not saying this because I have like insider knowledge about it. I don't, but I'm curious to see what that looks like. Andrew Lopez from ESPN is reporting that Jeremy Sohan and Keldon Johnson will be out tonight.
Yep.
Everybody else is a go. So Wemby versus Chet is a go.
Book it. Yeah, so the third name, I'm really torn. Today I would not be able to give an answer. Tre Mann seems like the name, but if you look about on-court production, it's not that Poku is much different. He's injured, which is a bummer. He has been injured a lot over the past 12 months. And we love him. We love the idea of him. But there is his plus-minus with the team is just insanely bad. Even last season where stuff seemed to start working. And so I don't know if OKC will have time to say, okay, let's see if things are kind of working again. Especially when you have other guys that play similar roles where you need to have time. Like I would play Jang 25 minutes per night, 28 minutes per night. Just go out and play. And so I also wonder, is there a way to move on from Poku? Is this the right choice? I don't know today, but I think that thing is in place.
I would guess they'd keep Poku around. Like I can see them letting go of Jeremiah and Oladipo, Jeremiah, and Jack White.
Jack White. Yeah. Jack White is the other name, of course.
Like those are the 3 names that make the most sense to me now. Now, maybe we have a Kenrich Williams situation in our hands with Jack White, and he gets on the court and is like, oh, like this guy's physical. He's shooting it pretty good. Like, why would we get rid of that guy? And then maybe it is a Poku situation where it's like, oh, maybe we trade Poku for like a top 45 protected second, in the way future from whoever, because we just need to make way for Jack White. Like that's another thing we don't know. Because I think when we talked about who they would cut the year that Kenrich got brought in, I think Kenrich was probably like, oh yeah, they're probably cutting all those guys that they got in the Steven Adams deal, And now he's like this mainstay of the roster. And those were in much more uncertain days with the roster where there were just very few NBA level guys on those rosters. That first,
not a fan of Charlie Brown.
I mean, like some of these names on this team, like Tony Bradley, Charlie Brown Jr., Moses Brown, Gabriel Deck. Hamidou Diallo doesn't have an NBA deal, at least unless I missed it. I don't think he signed with anybody. Yeah, he doesn't have an NBA deal right now. You know, he was one of the best players on that team. Josh Hall, George Hill's not in the league anymore. Obviously, he was an NBA guy. Jalen Horde, Justin Jackson, Ty Jerome, Teo Maladone, Darius Miller, Svi Mihailuk, who, shout out to Svi. He's on the Celtics now. Justin Robinson, Isaiah Roby. Like, this was a rough roster.
Yeah.
And Kenrich.
How did they win like more than 20 games?
Or
more than 15 games.
22 games. I wanted to have Shea.
Yeah, but still.
2, I also just think that Mark is like legitimately a good motivator and a good coach.
Yeah.
And is good at providing a good learning environment. I guess it might be the best way that I can say it, because so much of the coach's job is environment and order that you create within the locker room. Some of it is certainly X's and O's, and that's got to be a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the environment that Mark creates for the players, I think, is something that is, one, it's underrated in what Mark has done. And then 2, I just think that it allows these guys to just play over their heads. And that goes for some of the guys that are on the roster today. And that went for a lot of the guys that were on the roster then. I just think that Mark just provides a really good, stable learning environment for those guys. And that's why I think things went so well. I mean, Ty Jerome was 42% from 3-on-5 attempts per game. He's a nice shooter, but he's a career 35% 3-point shooter.
Yeah, it was so bad the year after.
Nice. Yeah, he shot 29% the next year.
Yeah.
But he provided an environment. So I don't know. On your Poku slander, I tend to think Poku's going to stick around and that he's going to get a chance to play. But again,
what are the chances in your mind that he becomes a reliable 7th man on the roster?
Does he have to be a 7th man?
The 9th man.
I think he can be a 9th man.
Okay.
I think he can be a 9th man.
Okay. Would you hold on a guy that might be a 9th man? When I said 7th, they said, why 7th? It's too high. It's too high. Like, this is exactly my point. Like, Ouz can be the 7th man. Yeah. And he should, like, Jack White can be the 9th man. He can really be. So, and to me, 7th is already, let's maybe move on. Because it's about opportunities. And I mean, I know that they invested a lot in Poku. They invested a ton if you look at that pick.
Yeah.
But the returns as of now, it was a good pick to make. I would probably, if the same kind of player, not the exact same player, comes back, I would say, okay, let's try. Because it's a good investment. It's a risky, but it's also, if the returns are high, this can be a generational type of player. Maybe not generational, like a unicorn, a player that everybody wants. Creator, tall, potentially shot blocker. The shot motion looked good and still does. But at some point, like, I really hope that he works out. And I really hope that he does it in OKC. But to me, the chances are so slim that would be... I'm curious. Again,
through November, beginning part of December, he just had a really nice run and played really well. And
yeah.
Shots. He rebounded pretty well, shot the ball really well from deep.
Yeah.
During that stretch. And I don't know. Like, I'm not willing to let go of that. I know his plus minus isn't good, but also the team was just kind of okay during that time. Is that all Poku's fault? Like, I don't know that that's all Poku's fault.
No, you're right.
And also, it's unfair to lay all of that at the feet of our guy Poku.
No, and if you want to put it in other terms, OKC is investing a lot in guards, and so the play time for Trey Mann is not going to be there unless he's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a conundrum, and if Jack White is the victim of that, so be it, I would say. I'm fine with any of the three.
Jack
If
White's played 17 NBA games.
yeah,
He's played 17 NBA games. And maybe that's a good thing because, like, oh man, he didn't get to show who he is. But like, he just didn't play very much at all. And like, you're looking at the game logs here. I mean, it's like 2 minutes here. It's like garbage time here,
yeah.
garbage time there. He played 15 minutes in the final game of the season for the Nuggets. In 15 minutes, he had 2 points and 8 rebounds. He's not like, I don't know. That to me, he looks more like a candidate to get cut than a guy like
Yeah.
Pope.
He would need to do certain things in order for him to be at least in the discussion. You're right. I mean, if
Gotta
he
shoot. Like, he just has to shoot. Like, if Jack
Yeah.
White shoots it, then I think he makes the team. If he doesn't, then if he doesn't show at least, and they have like the evaluators there. They have.
if he goes, Paul Watson is going. He's gone.
Oh yeah. If he goes all Paul Watson on this team, he's gone. He's out. He's out of here. Shout out Paul Watson.
That was quite the experience.
Yeah.
That is, obviously he's bringing all these shooters. Paul Watson, 55% in G League, and he probably missed every three that he took, or close to that.
He missed a lot. Paul Watson, what a guy.
Yeah, number 8. Was he number 8? I vaguely remember him being number 8.
I don't know. Let's see. He was 27 years old. He shot 23% from 3.
Oh, that seems very high.
6 of 26.
6? Wow. I don't remember any of them.
He also made 6 2-point shots. 6 of 9.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
Was he number 8?
I'm trying to look. I don't see it. Where is that on Basketball Reference?
At the top on the.
Oh yeah, there it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, number 8.
Wow.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good memory.
I'm ready for the trivia on the shirts.
That's J-Dub's number. He took J-Dub's. Wow. So there's a lot of unanswered questions with this roster. And this is and I've said this many times, that one of the reasons why I just don't see the Thunder getting in on any sort of like big trade is just like, there's just so many unanswered questions. Like, I think a guy that's going to make an impact off the bench is Davis Bertans. Like, he keeps kind of showing up, and he's a guy that gets kind of given to the media to give commentary. And I just think
I completely forgot about him. Like, there are many players on this roster.
Yeah, there are guys, and he's somebody that I think could have a bounce back season. Davis Bertans has had seasons where he's been a very good player.
Yeah,
and
a 16 million player.
Yeah, I just wonder if he can have a bounce back year here in Oklahoma City. I mean, in Washington, and this was years ago now, 1920, he averaged 15 points per game.
Yeah.
He took almost 9 threes a game that season.
Yeah.
And has since tailed off significantly. But I just wonder, he's just the type of guy that would play well under Mark Daigneault, would fit in. A lot of it is going to come down to, what does he look like as a defender? He's not a good defender, but I think we'd say the same thing about Isaiah Joe in Philly. Like, he didn't Isaiah Joe didn't come in here with some reputation as a good shooter from Philly. And I think Davis is going to have the chance to be used in a way defensively that maybe mitigates all the things that he's not very good at. And then he's going to have a chance to really shine, because like the kind of shooter that Lindy is has allowed him to stay in the league and with the Thunder. The kind of shooter that Isaiah Joe has allowed him to have like a significant spot on this roster.
And with all due respect for both of them, Bertans is a different level of shooter. Maybe on par with the best version of Isaiah Joe, but so much better than Lindy.
Career 39.8% 3-point shooter. Like, he's just flat out a good 3-point shooter. And so there's always room on the Thunder for somebody like that. And so I just wonder what that looks like for them. I don't think that he was just salary filler for them. I think that he's somebody that they see as like a weapon that can be used off the bench. Is he going to play every game?
No.
Is he going to play in a playoff or play-in game? Maybe not. But is he going to have
We'll see.
like spurts during the season where it's like, holy smokes, like Davis Bertans just helped the Thunder beat the Pacers tonight because he hit 7 threes. Like
Yeah.
I would almost expect something like that to happen.
Yeah. Imagine a lineup. Suppose that Kaysen is good and also a decent shooter.
Yeah.
You have Shea, Kaysen, Dub, Bertans, Chet.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you guard that lineup? I mean, I know that Bertans is not the shooter that he used to be. And I know that he's a sieve defensively, and he is. I mean, just don't. Let's not try to make it a different argument here. And maybe he will be passable from time to time, but generally he will screw up, and people will go at him. But how do you guard offensively? Nobody will give an inch to Bertans anywhere on the court, and he will start by doing the Ryan Anderson kind of thing where he was just stopping from like 28 feet from the basket, 30 feet from the basket, and say, okay, I'm free. Now guard me because I'm hitting those threes. Can you imagine the space that Shea has if Bertans plays that way and he's able to hit? I mean, that season in Washington was special because he made a point of hitting like 30 footers. And he was doing that at 36, 37%. I mean, that is giving Shea a completely new geometry where he is guarded one-on-one because as soon as anybody closes on him, he has a good shooter that is just waiting.
Yeah. I mean, look no further than our guy, Moose.
Yeah. And I love Moose, but Bertans is a different level of shooter in terms of quickness and range.
He's a better shooter.
Oh,
and
yeah.
My point is like the Thunder found ways to like really utilize the minutes of Mike Muscala. Not that he was like he didn't play huge minutes for the team. He played a maximum of 15 minutes per game for them.
Yeah.
But when he gets to Boston just didn't use him.
Yeah.
I mean, they just flat out did not use Mike Muscala last year. And they traded 2 picks for him. And
you have to be very mindful about shooters. You can't just have them on the court and pray that they will just magically improve your offense. Teams will immediately cheat on a shooter that is not served.
Yeah.
And so it's on the team. Like it's on Shea to ignite Mike Muscala, and he used to do it a lot. As soon as he saw Muscala, just take 5 threes, Mike. I don't possibly care. Yeah. So sorry for interrupting you, but yeah, that is the key.
They didn't play him at all in the playoffs, really. And he took a total of 4 threes the entire playoffs. This is a team that played a lot of playoff games last year. They played 3 rounds. Like they just didn't use it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the Thunder were in the playoffs and they had Moose on their team, he would have certainly been used in a different way.
Yeah, 10 minutes, 3 threes.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay. Very excited about tonight. Cannot wait to get back at the Paycom Center to see this team play. I'm very, very excited to be able to be there and see Wemby versus Chet live in person. It's going to be a joy. It's going to be great. Somebody posted in the chat that there's tickets going for $6. If you live in Oklahoma City, you're listening to this, you're like, I don't know, don't really have anything to do tonight. Lawrence Field said that. Go to the game. Go down to the game. Get yourself some tickets. Go to the game. Let's get Loud City back on top because it's time. It's time to show back up for the team. Like this is it. This is the moment. Again, we're pretty close to getting the number of subscribers that we need for the Shea video to be released. So if it happens during the game tonight, so be it. I'll post it there in the arena. I'll post it. I'll be ready for it. So please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, be sure to go get the DTD VIP tickets for our watch party on the 25th at Bar K. You can find that link in our bio. Then also be sure to go to Down to Dunk night. Please do that. It's going to be great. You can buy tickets Again, you can find those on our Twitter account. I will push those back to the top. It's going to be just an incredible night. Hope you guys have an awesome Monday, and we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.